Okay. Oh, good. My mic's on. Yeah, yeah. Hello, people. I am back from my party. I drank quite a bit of sherry and some wine and two margaritas. So I'm not drunk, but I'm definitely tipsy. And I'm just here to smile at you and say hi. And then I'm here to play some video games. And I apparently left my stream on, which I won't do. I can't believe I did that. But at least it wasn't Twitch, you know? So thank you for hanging out with me today. We will deactivate and go to the big face here. So we will be playing some Final Fantasy XI and something else today. I don't know what. Probably not Rust. Probably New World, I would say, but I don't know. I also bought Fallout 4, so I suppose I could do that too. Could mod Fallout 4, but don't know if I really want to mod Fallout 4. Still don't think it's very good compared to 76. So, but I did buy Fallout 4 today because it is $10 for the entire package of all the DLC and everything. So, by the way, guys, if you see this, Fallout 4 is $10 today, like the entire thing for PC, entire fucking all the DLC. That's normally like $100 or it's like $50 to $100. It's $10 right now. It's like literally like 90% off or something. So yeah, if you want a good, cheap, awesome game. Fallout 4 didn't get that good of a rating, but I mean, it did actually, it did. Pretty good game. So here we are. We're gonna go back to it. We're gonna play some Final Fantasy 11, and we're gonna say hello, I love you, and we're gonna say deactivate, come to scene, and we will go back to display capture, and we will say come to skycat.live and click on the cat's face to donate. And I am on YouTube. Thank you for your time. And that's all I have for you. I'm gonna mute the mic now and go back to playing video games as soon as I turn my camera back on. Activate. There we are. And we're going to go back and play some more Final Fantasy XI, and I'm going to grind New World for gold, I think, for the rest of the evening until I go to bed. Tomorrow I have a social engagement as well at 10 in the morning, so I won't be on in the morning. And then in a few days, I'm just going to be as descriptive as I care to be. I have a family member's birthday, so it's kind of a busy social week for me. Both today and tomorrow were kind of bad days for me, cut me in half. But I hope you guys stick around and enjoy. And thank you for your time. And that's all I've got for you. I'm going to mute the mic and go to work here. I love you guys. I want to say thank you to everybody who's here.
Serious performance problems. Game Informer is a good example. They scored the game a 7.5 and said, quote, "The sequel is ambitious and wants players to juggle hundreds of considerations as they build towards Elysium, and it delivers in that aspect. Yet, unfortunately, the game's constant technical problems tend to mire that calculated success," end quote. Some reports say that mid-range PCs will struggle to maintain more than 12 FPS on medium-sized cities, and I fully expect a bloodbath in the Steam user review section when that time comes. We might check back in on those next week. For now, do remember that this is on Game Pass, so if you are desperate to give this one a crack, that's probably going to be the safest and cheapest way to get your hands on it. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection arrived this week as well. No Steam reviews for that one yet either, but critics put it at a strong 77. General vibe is that it takes the games and makes them playable on modern hardware, but it does little more than that, with true enthusiasts likely to be disappointed and still reliant on emulation. But hey, if you just want to relive the good times, then these will absolutely do the job. And finally, The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria launched yesterday, exclusive to the Epic Games Store and Xbox for now, as the PS5 version has been delayed until December. At the time of recording, this was fresh out of the oven, so only a few reviews up right now, most of them painting the picture of a title that has some good bones but wasn't quite ready for release. CG Magazine scored this one a 75, saying, quote, "Return to Moria from Free Range Games is a fun experience for fans of survival titles and The Lord of the Rings. It takes some of the better systems from the genre and marries them to the lore and the setting of Moria, the result of which is a world that fans can be excited about," end quote. A lot of streams for this one going at the moment, so if you're interested, I recommend checking in on those. But yeah, bottom line, it might be prudent to wait a few weeks or months for some updates to roll through. So what's coming out this week? A much quieter week than last, but still some great stuff to look forward to, particularly if you're a survival horror fan. It is the spooky season after all. Take Stray Souls, for example. It's a survival horror that proudly declares itself as being inspired by the genre's greats. Hell, they've even got veteran composer Akira Yamaoka on board, who previously did work on Silent Hill. Some pretty strong Silent Hill vibes coming off this one, actually, so if you're down for that, then this arrives on all platforms bar the Switch today. Dave the Diver arrives on Nintendo Switch this week, and I'm low-key blown away by this because this feels like it's been on the Switch all along, right? If you haven't played it, it's genuinely fantastic, a mix of underwater exploration, clever puzzle solving, and storytelling. Plus, you get to run a sushi restaurant at night, catch fish, and then serve them up ice cold that same night. It is a truly delightful game, and I promise you that it's either going to win Indie Game of the Year or it's going to be in the very top pickings. It's legitimately that good. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord is a VR title arriving tomorrow on both the Quest and PSVR 2 this week. Don't cross the streams. Speaking of Ghosts, Ghost Runner 2 arrives on all platforms bar the Switch tomorrow as well. This is a slick cyberpunk-themed parkour action game. Think Mirror's Edge, but faster, more arcadey, and equally good since the first one racked up rave reviews. Hopefully the sequel delivers as well. It's got a cool motorcycle, so I'm hopeful. If you're in the mood for a cozy game, then Mineko's Night Market might be for you. It's a game about celebrating Japanese culture through crafting, snacking, and hanging out with pets. It's narrative-led, and it's got a nice style, chill vibe. Might be the cure for what ails you after a massive release season. This one arrives on all platforms bar the Switch tomorrow, and it will be on Game Pass. Biggest release of the week and my most anticipated game for all of October, Alan Wake 2 arrives for PS5, Xbox Series, and the Epic Game Store on the 27th. As excited as I am for this, there are unfortunately more than a few things that have dampened other people's excitement. Number one, the Epic Game Store. No one likes it, but hey, they are funding the development of this video game, so fair play to them on this one, I think. Number two, they are not releasing a physical version of the game for any platform. It is digital only. I'm sorry, but that fucking sucks. No two ways about it. Finally, they say bad news comes in threes, and we got it this week in the form of the recommended PC specs. Turns out that if you want to play Alan Wake on medium settings, ray tracing off, 1080p, you'll need an RTX 3070. Sounds pretty high, right? Well, I forgot to mention that you also need to set DLSS to performance mode. That means it's rendering the game at 540p and then upscaling it. Now listen, I've played this game and it looks fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look so good that these minimum specs make sense to me. And I really wonder how this game is going to run on consoles if your PC specs need to be this high to get it running at just a basic recommended level. Still, outside of that, it looks pretty fucking cool. I played a preview build and I loved it. It's a shame that the deck is getting stacked so high against this one because it really does feel like this could be the best thing that Remedy has ever put out, and they're the sort of studio that we all like to cheer for. Anyway, we'll find out how all this comes together later this week. Rounding out the survival horror offering this month is Resident Evil Village, which arrives on iOS on October 30th. I have no idea how this will run on phone or why you'd want to play it on a phone, but hey, there it is. And finally, here's a lovely one to cap off the month. Jusant arrives on all platforms bar the Switch on the 31st. This is from developer Don't Nod, one of the many coals they have in the fire at the moment, and it's a unique looking narrative-led adventure game that's all about climbing from place to place. Something about this one really speaks to me, and the response to the Next Fest demo was super positive. Austin's actually playing through this one at the moment, and he may have a review for you next week. But if you're keen to see that one, then be sure to subscribe and ding the bell. Hey, put this on your radar.
My name is Jan. My whole life, all my choices, led me to this place. When I took this job, I thought things would take a different turn. Well, ironically, they did.
This is The Alters, and it's a game about surviving on a hostile planet relying on nothing but yourselves. All of yourselves. Jan is a firm believer in the idea that if you want to do something right, you have to breed a clone of yourself and make the clone do it. That is the central conceit here. It is another survival crafting base building game set on an alien planet, but rather than doing everything on your own, you're able to make clones of yourself to do it on your own. Because they're clones of you, so you're still doing it, but they're clones of you. And create a colony of you. Sounds great, right? The trailers to this point have done a great job of selling the premise, great presentation, and a great sense of humor. When it comes to the gameplay stuff, we still have to wait a bit longer to see that. But for now, I've seen enough to have my interest piqued, and I've added it to my wish list. If you'd like to do the same, I've profiled it over on my Steam curator page. which also has links to all of the other Put This On Your Radar stuff I've recently covered. I'll leave a link to all of that below the like button. Sort of free stuff time now, and Epic is having a pretty big week leaning into the scary season. Not only are they launching Alan Wake 2 exclusive to both their storefront and the NASA supercomputers able to run it, but they're also giving away The Evil Within 1 right now. And later this week, they'll be giving away the sequel, which many horror fans consider to be one of the best modern survival horror games you can get your hands on, and a cult classic for those in the know. In addition, there's also Eternal Threads, which is a first-person detective game, as well as Tandem, a Tale of Shadows, a puzzle platformer that combines both top-down and side-on perspectives in very clever ways. If you're in the mood for even more scary stuff, then Prime Gaming are giving away Doom 3 at the moment. That's for anyone who's a Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime member. And don't forget Game Pass, since City Skylines 2 will be on there for PC, Mineko's Night Market, which we mentioned earlier, as well as Jusant, which we also mentioned earlier, and that looks fantastic. Our feel-good story for the week is one that I know you're going to love because it relates to something we all love to see, and that thing is corporations demanding our blood. Our actual blood. That's not a joke, by the way. That's literally what this story is about. This week, Blizzard announced a new in-game promotion. It's a spin on the typical buy a thing or do a thing IRL and be rewarded in-game, but instead of drinking verification cans to receive 6 cents worth of in-game currency, Blizzard are asking you to donate your actual blood to nearby blood donation centers. After you've done so, you can submit proof of your donation to Blizzard's website, and that will contribute to a broader community pool of blood. And if that blood pool gets big enough, everyone gets paid in the form of free in-game items available to all, whether you donate it or not. I know it's easy to be cynical about video game companies, Blizzard in particular, but this is one of those times when you've really got to hand it to them. They're using their game and their reach to do something good, incentivizing people to make a donation to an important cause that saves lives each and every day. And that's a hell of a lot better than that KFC promotion they ran. Fun fact, if you consume enough KFC, you'll eventually need one of these blood donations when you end up getting that heart transplant. So this promotion has a lovely cradle to the grave feel that I think really suits the franchise. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the show for the week. Like I said, a bit more down-tempo, a bit more chillax, but I hope we still...
This is absolutely massive news for Blizzard and Overwatch. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So what we're going to discuss is Phil Spencer yesterday went to the Blizzard campus in Irvine, and we're going to discuss the reaction to that, notably the reaction from people at the event, and which obviously are game developers at Blizzard. And we're going to talk about the K-pop skins because they've kind of been revealed, but also we've got a little bit of information for BlizzCon as well. So let's get stuck into this. I think the first place to start is honestly with Phil Spencer visiting the campus, because this is this is the start of a new Blizzard, and I think this could be the start of something wonderful for one main reason. There isn't really any sort of acknowledgement of Activision in any of this. It is Blizzard, it is Xbox, and one of the things I've been sort of, I don't want to say campaigning for, because I've not been campaigning for it, but one of the things that I would like to see is Blizzard to become this sort of wholly independent studio again, where it can work on its own projects, where it can govern itself, where it's not having to listen to higher ups that maybe come from Activision Blizzard and was saying, like, you know, this game needs to launch now, it needs this monetization system, you need to do this, you need to do that, when maybe that's not what the devs want to do. So I'm hoping they're just given a lot more freedom. So this image here, this is taken from the main sort of courtyard in the campus. This is the orc statue. This over here is the, well, that's the canteen on the lower ground, but this building here, this is Overwatch. That's Overwatch up there. I know, because I've been far too many times. In fact, I've been to this place that many times, I can literally do the tour. It's not much, you know, this, you know, whatever. If you need a tour guide, let me know. But yeah, this is the orc statue. This is a ton of Blizzard employees, and yeah, obviously it's Phil Spencer and it's Quick, who is the president of Blizzard, Mike Ybarra, and he says, "Fun day at Blizzard Entertainment. Did a great job welcoming Xbox P3, which is Phil Spencer, and Team Xbox to campus. Future is bright, and we can't wait to share it with all of our players and communities." Okay, so, you know, whatever comment, but picture, it's nice to see. This is the start of a new Blizzard. Now, we've got some more stuff to look at, because this was a tweet a little bit earlier on in the day from Mike Ybarra. And he says, "It's the beginning of a new chapter for Blizzard Entertainment, a 2+ year journey, and we couldn't be happier." Now, I'm sure Mike can't be happier, because I'm pretty sure he probably had quite a lot of lovely little stocks and shares that maybe were a lot less than Microsoft actually have bought the company for. So it's probably had a massive payday. But whatever, that's corpo life in America. But yeah, look at this. There's no mention of Activision. It's just straight up Xbox Blizzard, Xbox Blizzard, Xbox Blizzard. I want to see the old Blizzard come back. You know, I think all of us do. We don't want this Blizzard that's just a content production house pumping crap out, not 24/7. We don't want that. We want good stuff. We want, you know, industry-leading games. That's what we want. We want quality. We want innovation. We want to play beautiful games. You know. So this is all good stuff, right? Anyway, Phil Spencer has just tweeted this before. King Games has just tweeted this before I actually went live. So with the recording. And he says, it's not a lot here, but like he is acknowledging, you know, the fact he's been there. So he says, a great week with the amazing teams at King Games, Activision, and Blizzard Entertainment. Whether working on mobile, console, PC, or incubating new IP, I found dedicated groups of creators betting on each other and striving to build games that will delight millions of players. Really inspiring. So, okay, you know, good shout there. You got to remember, Phil is now the big bad boss of all of these companies, and you know, he is the boss of Blizzard, effectively. So what I want to do now is take a look at this article. So this is from Windows Central. And this is from, they've got some sort of insight here from people that were actually at these, or at the event, I guess I should say. So let's just go through this. And they say, to mark the occasion, Xbox leadership team comprised of Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, and others visited Blizzard's headquarters today in Irvine, California, with the team addressing staff for the first time. Sources familiar, and this is the key bit, guys. Sources familiar with the commentary noted that it was a relatively low-key affair and that Spencer emphasized that he had no answers today and that right now Xbox was listening to the needs and desires of staffers instead. Spencer said that Microsoft is striving to be a source of trust for Blizzard and wants to enable Blizzard to achieve its visions and dreams. The sentiments echo similar comments Spencer has made to other acquired studios in that Microsoft wants to help developers create their dream games. Okay, so yeah, it's big. This is honestly, it's big. That's a statement that I think a lot of people at Blizzard were looking forward to actually hearing. And we know Phil has said this for other studios in the past. He said it for Bethesda when they picked up ZeniMax and all of that. But it's like, what will happen? This is the big question. Now, there's a lot of issues at Blizzard that need to be rectified quite fast. The first one is Blizzard do not pay very well. Now, in the past, okay, let me rephrase that. Blizzard pay well for certain roles, right? If you're a VP, you get paid quite well. You get nice compensation. If you're just rank and file game designer or whatnot, you don't really get paid what other companies are offering in that area. In fact, some people even straight up said to me they've had a 30% pay rise simply going to a competitor. That is absolutely insane. Now, why was this the case? It is because Blizzard used to have this, I guess you could call it the Blizzard tax. I think it was referred to as the Blizzard tax. This was a wonderful stamp on your CV where you could say, I've worked at Blizzard Entertainment. Wow. That came at a premium. That meant they just didn't pay you the money. Remember, this was Bobby Kotick, right? He wants to cut as many corners as possible, save as much money as possible, shove all the earnings onto the shareholders and go, look how great we're doing, gee whiz. Now, Microsoft need to sort this. They need to increase the pay of probably a lot of roles. They need to look at a lot of the pay disparity. I'm not going to go into mega detail in this video about it, but there's a lot of pay disparity at Blizzard. And, you know, it needs to be rectified. But I think the big takeaway is him saying, look, I'm here to listen to the staff. He's not here to listen to the, you know, the managers and all of them. I'm here to listen to the staff, right? I'm here to talk to the people on the ground to say, what do you want? What are you working on? How can we start this relationship? Because that's what it is. It's the beginning of a relationship. You've got to remember, the studio is now owned by Microsoft. This doesn't mean that instantly the Xbox team are just like, okay, we know full operation of this company, we can break it down. They don't. It's like they're walking through the door. Now, sure, they would have had some sort of behind-the-scenes knowledge, because, of course, if you're going to spend $69 billion on something, you're going to want to know what's going on. But you don't actually get to see the nitty-gritty behind the curtain. There's going to be things that have been obfuscated by Bobby because he doesn't want you to see them, and now you're going to peel it back and find out what's going on here. You're probably going to peel things back and go, why is this person in this position? Let's remove them. What's going on here with this person? What's this team doing? There's going to be a lot of that going on, right? But I like to think that Blizzard, you know, people throw things around and say, all of the cream has left Blizzard, the best talent have left Blizzard. Now, that might have been true, but you've got to remember, times are different now. And there's always space for other people to rise to the top. And in fact, by people moving on, it does create space where people can move into those roles. So, you know, I'm not really a big advocate of going, all the talent's left, because it's still Blizzard, and there's still good people there, so I still think things can be turned around. Now, the big thing will be, what happens going forward here? Is this full sort of autonomy given back to Blizzard? And yes, they do have to report to Xbox, but it's not really pressurizing. It's not like Activision Blizzard oversight where they're sitting on top of you going, we need money now. Like, you look at the way Overwatch 2 launched. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I'll say it really fast, though. When Overwatch 2 launched with the Watchpoint pack, that was designed
Your
to
skill
pump
has
the
increased.
financials in that quarter to say, wow, look at this. Look how many box sales we've got. And it did well, but it was a false promise. That was sold essentially on a promise of you're buying into something which is going to develop into the Overwatch 2 at the time we thought we were going to get, which of course was the PvE, the fully fledged PvE, which was then just stripped and ripped out of the game. So it felt terrible, but at the end of the day, it did really well in that quarter and did really well for Activision Blizzard because they managed to push the Watchpoint pack so hard. Okay, I think we're going to leave it at that. This is, I think, very exciting times for probably a lot of the staff at Blizzard. I don't think anyone's going to go, this is bad. I don't think anyone's sitting there going, well, I want Bobby and I want the old way of things to remain. Nobody wants that. These are people that want to work on their art, which is game design, and they want to give it to us to delight us as players. And that's what
Your
I want to
skill
see,
has
right?
increased.
It's going to take a lot of time for this to be implemented. Obviously, I'm going to cover this because I'm expecting things to come from the likes of Phil Spencer and that, where they might make grandiose statements of like, this is the way we're going with Blizzard, or this is the way this game's going, or these were things in the past that were not working and now we're going to change to this. There's probably going to be a bunch of that because it will be an easy PR win for Xbox. So I think stay tuned for that. But honestly,
Your skill has
I think what we
increased.
can do actually before we do move on from this section is we can just take a look at some of the other pictures we've got, because there's a lot of pictures from this event. So this is from Lulu Cheng. She's the chief, I don't know what that is, CCO.
Your skill has
executive vice
increased.
president, chief summer operating, I don't know. But she's from the C-suite, I guess, of Activision Blizzard. But she's like, you know, putting up pictures like, hey, it's the new boss, Phil. We're all around the statue and everything's great, you know. This obviously is from the Activision.
Your
thing.
skill has
No mention of
increased.
Blizzard here because, well, you know, nice pictures, right? So, and this, I don't know what this is. It looks like a block of lard to me. I think it's meant to be sponge cake with icing. I don't know.
Your skill has increased.
Anyway, yeah. So like, you know, just more pictures. It's it's fine. It's cool. All right, let's move on now and let's talk about K-pop skins. So Play Overwatch they've just dropped this tweet. So we were going to talk about the skins, but we'll do that in a second. But this is them saying, hey, Le Seraphim, I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. I'm going to get destroyed in the comments if I keep getting that wrong. I apologize. But they're coming to Overwatch 2. They're coming to BlizzCon, sorry. It's the crossover with Overwatch 2. Our collab with the K-pop sensation, Le Seraphim, continues with a special performance on November the 4th. And it actually details what this is. So it says you're going to get the songs Perfect Night, Anti-Fragile, which that's quite a good name for a song, actually. Unforgiven and Eve Psych and the Bluebeard's Wife, okay, and more. But not to be doomer, I'm not a doomer. But anyway, if you click on this link, you then go to this to buy tickets for BlizzCon. BlizzCon used to sell out instantly. Like in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, BlizzCon tickets go on sale. I think they generally go on sale in 2 waves. The first wave sold out in minutes. The second wave sold out in minutes. This still isn't sold out, which is, you know, a sign of the times. You know, Blizzard
Your skill
just
has
isn't the
increased.
force it was before. You know, you've got to be realistic and think what is going to be at BlizzCon. You know, this is another issue. It's like like if we were to speculate what is at BlizzCon, well, we know they're
Your
working
skill
on
has increased.
a survival game, an unannounced survival game. We don't know what that is. Could it be like a Blizzard Rust style game, a Blizzard Ark Evolved style game, or I don't know, something like that? We don't know. That could be the marquee announcement of BlizzCon, where they show us a trailer, or maybe they show us like the name of the thing, right? We still think it's years away, so don't get too hyped. World of Warcraft, it's got an expansion coming. That's fine. We'll find out what that is. Heroes of the Storm, I don't know. StarCraft 2, I don't really know. I don't think that'll really prominently feature too much. Overwatch 2, we already know it's going to be a new hero, and we're pretty sure it's going to be Malga because his shirt on the Samoa map and all of the hype leading up to that. So it's like, oh, and the mobile game, that's it. The Clash Royale clone, but with Warcraft stuff. Arclight Rumble, that's what it's called. That's been announced. So that's kind of it. Now, of course, there is obviously all of the esports stuff happening. So you've got the various competitions across the games. Obviously, for us, the Overwatch competition, the World Cup competition is happening, which will be pretty cool to watch. But But yeah, I just wanted to sort of throw that out there because it's not sorry, it's not sold out. By the way, this is massive.
Your skill has increased.
What'd you get for this? Exclusive Portal Pass Lounge, private viewing lounge, private concessions, gameplay experiences, concierge support, Blizzard employee meet and greet, separate registration line, separate security line, early convention entry on Friday. Yeah, anyway, let's move on to this, right? So, these are the K-pop skins. Actually, forget this. Let's go to Overwatch Cavalry, because they always do a better job than the official account. So, they show us the teasers of the skins that were in the music video trailer, which I guess I should probably show you guys. Where is it?
Your skill has increased.
What have I got open here? Oh, yeah, this is the video. So, this basically is the trailer for the...
Your skill has increased.
And you get, like, you know, a look at Brig there with the Nano Cola in the fridge. Look at Diva. Obviously, look at the band. That's Sombra on a bike. Brig and Kiriko. I mean, cool. But anyway, that was obviously really fast. But obviously, Overwatch Cavalry have got the still, so we can take a bit of a closer look. So this is Brig. I think this looks really good, actually. Brig's skin looks really good. So that's Nano Cola, which is the very first in-game earnable mini event, if we can call it that. Or was it Anna? Was it Basta Anna? Oh no, I think it was Nano Cola. I'm sure it was Nano Cola, where you just had to win 15 games, I think it was, and you got that the skin. Anyway, this is in Brig's fridge, and Brig's all dressed up, ready to go to the concert. I love it. And then you've got Diva. One thing I'll say about this though is this is very much the sort of animated short quality, and there is like, you could actually go this direction with thinking and saying, well, are they spending their budget on their animated shorts on this kind of thing instead of actually making animated shorts? The animated short for Sojourn done very poorly on YouTube because of the way they deployed it. And I don't want to say this about Sojourn, but it is kind of a bit boring. The animated short's okay, but Sojourn's character needs a lot more work, I think, to just make a more...
Hello, guys and gals.
Thank you, Stylosa, for the excellent content for my stream. I've liked and sub to your channel and your video. Also, thank you, Some Ordinary Gamers. I've liked and sub to your channel and your video.
You've been examined.
Guys and gals, me, Mudahar, and Konami is actually somehow worse and lazier than I thought, okay? Now, 12 days ago I made a video in regards to the Metal Gear Master Collection, and I was telling you guys, like, how Konami is basically doing the absolute bare minimum for this game. Now, Konami, when it comes to HD re-releases,
Your skill has increased.
the laziness shows no bounds. Sometimes they do a really good job, sometimes they screw the pooch. Castlevania Collection on the PS5 is actually pretty decent. Tons of games, tons of options, pretty good package.
Your skill has increased.
The HD Collection back in the PS3 days was so bad that when a game is starting to use Comic Sans, you should probably go back to the drawing board, okay? Now, Metal Gear is an important franchise to me, okay? I want to start off by saying I would not make this video if Metal Gear did not mean something to me. Metal Gear is where I really played a lot, where I really got into story-driven games, right? Back in the days of the PlayStation 1, Metal Gear Solid blew my mind.
Your skill has increased.
Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 blew my mind. I must have broken so many child labor laws to get a PS3 back in the day just so I could play Metal Gear Solid 4. And would I do it again? Absolutely. Because this franchise means the world to me. It's a 30-year-long story that's filled with twists and turns, so unique to itself. It's an entire franchise that pretty much put stealth action.
Your skill has increased.
And for it to get a remastering and for the games to be bundled again, I would be the one person that should be the most excited. If there are some new people who've never heard of Metal Gear can finally play these games for the first time, I'm a huge fan. Now, the Metal Gear Master Collection, in terms of this video, I have on the PS5, okay? Now, if you have these two games, the Metal Gear Legacy Bundle or the HD Collection, congratulations, Konami has literally sold you the exact same version of it. In fact, they might have even ruined it in some ways. So let me start off with the positives, okay? This comes with a bunch of games. It comes with Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, the original 2 MSX games. That's a lot of games, okay? I know people are talking about the price for this being a little too high, but ultimately, no matter what, you still get 3 of some of the best games of all time. Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are games that have aged absolutely beautifully. Metal Gear Solid 2 and how it discusses AI, misinformation, control with AIs over us, social media systems, that is something that you need to play. One of the most profound, well-aged experiences. Metal Gear Solid 3 might be one of the best stealth action games ever made. Some people have prophesized that God was on the development team. Metal Gear Solid 1, while it hasn't aged all that well, still has that chilling atmosphere, and it is a game that if you've never played it, I highly recommend you sit down one day, one weekend, and just embroil yourself in that story. Now, from what I've seen positive-wise, none of these games have been censored. You can still check out EVA in Metal Gear Solid 3, and you can still
Your skill has increased.
Metal Gear Solid 2. Nothing has been censored. All of the original games is charmed, and that basically that time capsule has been kept. So that's one thing I wanted to just straight up say for the record. Now, the game is entirely on the disc, meaning that it comes with 5 packages. You can install the bonus content, the original MSX games, and Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 separately, which is good because you can basically pick and choose how much of your hard drive you want to take up. If all you wanted to do was play Metal Gear Solid 3, then you just have to install that, which I wish more games did. I'd rather 5 gigs take up my system than like 50. Alright, 45 gigs of stuff that I'm never even gonna touch. Now, beyond
Your skill has increased.
Launcher for each of these games, which comes with some extra bonus features. So each game has a master book and a screenplay book, which are fun little additions. I'm a huge fan of stuff like this, to just basically read up about the game development, a bunch of the history, lore, and whatnot. All of that is included. High resolution, solid work. What's not included are the instruction manuals for the game, which is baffling as fuck.
Your skill has increased.
HD Collection, Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and Peace Walker have their instruction manuals bundled on the disc. Instead, with the Master Collection, you have to connect to Konami's website and read these shitty, instruction manuals.
Cash grab!
Without all of the charm of the original games. Now, I don't know why they couldn't have just bundled those PDFs on this Blu-ray. Have no idea. Probably costs them more money in server space to just be running an instruction manual on the internet. They've got an entire interface for it. You can view the front and back of these game cases. You just need to be connected to the internet to read this PDF file. Insanity. Now, the games do contain all regions, and everyone has access to every region. So if you buy a North American copy, you can basically download the European versions of each game or the Japanese versions of each game and play them. Now, I assume what's going on is the game is just downloading multiple different ISO files and just running them through the launcher. That's pretty much what I theorize. Now, when it comes to the launcher, one really cool thing that they've done, at least for Metal Gear Solid 1, is they added a new option which allows you to create fake virtual save files for other Konami games. So if you remember the boss battle between Psycho Mantis and Metal Gear Solid 1, where he reads your memory card and makes references, you too can relive that with the Master Collection.
Now I'll read more deeply into your soul. I can see into your mind. So, you like Suikoden. You like Castlevania, don't you? I see that you enjoy Konami games.
And what's really wild about this is it kind of shows that the development team did go through some work at mastering this collection. So when you load up Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, you'll begin to notice that they've actually touched the ISO file and changed textures and words around. So for instance, when you load up Metal Gear Solid 1, a game from 1996, 1998, you'll find out that instead of asking you to press a start button, it'll correspond to your system. So for the PlayStation 5, it does the press 3 lines button, And there's actually some readjustments to the codec call where instead of calling things a select button, the game will refer to it as the touchpad. So in some ways, Konami has went into these actual games and have retouched them to match at least at least updated them to match the current systems that we're playing. I don't know if they had to do that because to certify these games they have to have modern prompts, or if they actually felt like doing it. I feel like this might have been part of like Xbox and Sony and Nintendo requiring certification standards. So okay, beyond all of it, how do these games look? So if you're playing on the US versions, you have the US copies of the game on your disc. Now, one creator, a creator I really respect on the internet, G-Man Lives, who's not from North America, he actually had a complaint about his versions of the game being the PAL versions. So, to give you quick context, back in the original PlayStation 1 days, there used to be different broadcasting standards like NTSC, PAL if you were European, and CCAM if you were French. So NTSC for the Americans would run at 60 hertz. So 60 hertz being the refresh rate of monitors and television sets at the time. Now for Europeans, their refresh rate was 50 hertz. So on the surface level, this might not seem like a big deal, but the way frame rates are calculated is you take that refresh rate and you divide it by half because you're dealing with interpolated systems. So for US players, North Americans like us, half of 60 is 30 frames. Half of 50 for Europeans is 25 frames per second. So for Europeans, if you're playing the European version of the game, the ISO file that Konami has bundled is the European copy. So it just runs a little slower than the North American version. And what's funny is Europeans don't even need to go through that bullshit again. So Konami has unironically created copies of the game with a legitimately inferior version. And what's really baffling is these download files for multiple copies of the game aren't that big. They're like 2 to 3 gigs. Blu-rays store up to 100 gigabytes. How Konami could just not bundle all of these different versions into the same exact fucking disc is beyond me. It probably costs them more money to serve these as downloads than to just print them on a disc once. So other games on these collections can be downloaded. So if you want to play Metal Gear Solid 1 Integral, the Japanese version, you can download that for free. And if you want European versions, God forbid, you can download them for free. Now, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 also have Japanese language packs that you can install for free. Now, even with the original 2 games that Kojima hates, like Metal Gear on the NES and fucking Snake's Revenge, you can still play those games in this collection. And they run as well as you can expect for 2 dog shit pieces of games. There's also the digital novels that you can download and watch yourself. For some reason, these are like 11 gigabytes to like 6 gigabytes in size. Dog, these are PSP games. How are you blowing them up to astronomical proportions? Maybe they remastered the art, maybe something has changed, but goddamn, Konami has blown these games up. In fact, if anything, you would think they have a Futanari fetish with how they've programmed this. How are 2 MSX games, alright, games that run on your grandmother's vibrator, taking up 530 megabytes of space on a drive? It's kind of insane. Okay, so anyways, beyond all of it, the ways that these games play are a little bit questionable. For instance, Metal Gear Solid 1 does not have any bump in resolution. The moment you fire this game up on a modern 4K display, you'll start to notice jagged edges upon jagged edges. It seems like Metal Gear Solid 1 is just being emulated in a 240p window, original game resolution, no way to make this shit widescreen, so you're gonna be playing it just like the old days, okay? That's how it runs. Now, there's options to change borders around, and for certain, boss battles, you can change the in-game controller port, so they've matched kind of everything you've needed, but why they couldn't offer some graphical upgrades is just beyond me. There is no option to increase the resolution, to make the game widescreen, to do anything. You are playing this game as virgin as you can expect. So content-wise, the entire game is there, it's just not upgraded at all. And it's kind of baffling because you can easily take Metal Gear Solid 1 as a game, put it into DuckStation, the emulator, crank resolutions up to 4K yourself, which will make the game look sharper and cleaner. You can inject actual PGXP corrections so the game isn't wobbly all the time because it's a PS1 title and back then texture warping was a thing. And of course, let's not forget, emulators can actually run the game at proper widescreen. How is it that the gaming community can somehow create better versions of these games entirely for free? The fact that they are charging full price to access this game, even if you buy it separately for like $24, the method that they're giving you just feels inferior. Even comparing this side by side in an emulator without any visual enhancements, you will notice that the emulated version just looks cleaner because they're putting some weird filter on the actual game that I guess is designed to help upscale the title, but it just doesn't work too well. It actually feels like the Master Collection of MGS1 is blurrier than the original game, even at that original 240p resolution. So again, it just feels like a somewhat inferior way. Now again, I'll lead my actual verdict. I think if this is your first time playing Metal Gear, then this isn't totally the worst collection. Again, these are still great titles. If you've never played any of these games and you happen to pick up this collection, it's not the end of the world. But I think for a lot of the longtime fans, we kind of just hoped that Konami would treat one of their best franchises with a little bit more respect. Now, Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are actually so laughable that as soon as you fire those games up, it literally shows the splash screen for the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. Now, they've also modified these games so they have prompts from current generation systems, although their copyright dates are from the HD collection. Dog, back in 2011 and 2012, they didn't even modify these games to match them up for 2023. So again, beyond all of it, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to look into a couple more things with these situations because it gets even lazier. So according to G-Man Lives, he says, it turns out the PC port of Metal Gear Solid 3 runs at a locked 720p with no option to change the resolution. You can't view the keyboard controls, you can't even change them, and the mouse aiming is atrocious. They emulated the fucking mouse to match the right analog stick, without ever factoring in how a mouse is different than a goddamn analog stick. Again, this is a full-priced game they're charging money for on a PC, and they can't even do the bare minimum. I want to just reiterate that one of the top reviews on Metacritic, 100 by the way, Konami could have done more for sure. Why the fuck is your review 100 then if they could have done more, you jackass? There are several titles that could have been included in this collection. Metal Gear Solid 4, MGS Acid, Twin Snakes, which, by the way, I agree. If they're gonna release Metal Gear Solid 1, maybe work out the licensing reasons and give us the Twin Snakes remake as part of Metal Gear Solid 1. Dog, we are building the Master Collection, not the Cuckold Collection, okay? I don't want to sit and watch what could have been. I want to be the alpha in this. I want to play a proper Master Collection. So MGS5 remains a viable product in its own right, but Konami could have really filled us in on the rest. With that said, the original trilogy isn't just a trio of great games that people have strong nostalgia for, they're genuine masterpieces. And this collection is a perfectly adequate way of preserving them for this hardware cycle. Is it really properly preserved when these games are receiving mixed reviews all over Steam? And the fact that one of these Steam community members literally points out all the issues. Locked to 720p. Mouse support is just emulating the right analog stick. Keyboard controls are nonsensical and can't be changed. It is locked at 720p. That is probably the worst situation. So how is this good preservation? We should be reviewing these games as they are releasing them in their updated standard. I'm not arguing if Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 aren't great games. They're amazing games. It's just Konami has not done a good job at remastering these games to at least introduce new people to this franchise. What's kind of funny about this too is as the game is locked to 720p, the community, because people care about Metal Gear Solid, have already made a resolution patch that actually unlocks the resolution and brings it up to like 4K. Now, this also shows that the PC version of the game doesn't have any frame rate above 60, no ultra-wide support, none of that shit, okay? This is about as bare bones as a PC release you can do. And this is no excuse. There's plenty of game developers, like Sega, for instance, who re-release like Yakuza on their main system. Yakuza, a traditional console franchise, plays really well on the PC. Good frame rates, good graphical settings, great keyboard and mouse controls, even if real Yakuza players play with a gamepad. That's just a joke. They still put the effort in on releasing it on the PC. Konami has not. Now, it's at a point where these games are such bad releases that it's actually better for you to currently play Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 under PCSX2 if your hardware isn't fast enough, or if you have a halfway decent gaming computer, you can emulate these exact games, this exact collection, mind you, under RPCS3 and actually get 4K.
Your
Like
skill
I've
has
done,
increased.
All right, it's insane. I literally loaded up MGS3 on my PS5, and it is a blurry mess. That's also 720p it seems, and I can't change it to real 4K. Should the PS5 be able to run Metal Gear Solid 3 at 4K? Of course. It's all up to Konami. Clearly they don't give a shit. Now, when it comes to the Master Collection, or sorry, the HD Collection on PC, you could even run the Xbox 360 version of that original HD Collection in Xenia, and still get a better experience than whatever Konami is providing you here. Yeah, they are lazy, and laziness is, without a doubt, one of the lightest sins that Konami has done with this collection, as sad as it is to say. This is a collection that they are charging you $60 to $70 for, okay? If I look at the actual price right now, it is an $80 collection, and that's just Volume 1. Now, I don't know if Konami is charging this money just for the sake of, I don't know, funding the development of the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Maybe that's the case, but they still should have put a better job. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Metal Gear is being introduced to a new set of gamers. At least give them the best possible experience. It's so hilarious how most of this collection is the work of Blue Point Games with the original HD collection. It's literally like Konami took that exact piece of homework and just put their name on it and just threw that swap onto the digital stores and a physical disc. That's all it seems like. And if you haven't experienced these games, sure, this is a fine collection. But I think for a lot of gamers who grew up with Metal Gear like me, this is just a slap in the face. And that's really what it comes down to. It's a bit of a disappointment, but at the end of the day, at least these are 3 amazing games. They're timeless games, and I guess that kind of is the only saving grace in this situation. Now, one of the things that I wanted to also talk about was the lack of other Metal Gear games. For a real master collection, why not introduce Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2? The brilliant turn-based games on the PSP. They hold up real well in my opinion. I made a whole video about them years ago. What about Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops? Yeah, I know Kojima likes to forget that game, but let's include it as part of the collection. What about the amazing Game Boy Color version of Metal Gear Solid Ghost Maker? Why not include that? I mean, clearly you've got Snake's Revenge. You don't give a fuck about the quality. At least give us the good games. Now, there's been data miners that have jumped into this and have found out that they've got more on the way. So Volume 2 will probably contain Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, MGS5, but MGS4 is on the way as well. Now, I'm kind of worried about MGS4. If this is the quality of the PC release for these two, for this trilogy, Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of the most confusing pieces of messes on the PS3. To this day, developing that game required the PS3 and required some special trickery. How Konami, if they're not giving a shit about 2, 3, and 1, are expected to even think of porting that game to PC or the PS5 or Xbox Series or Nintendo Switch is beyond me. I can't even imagine that they would give that game the accurate time of day, and that game may just be a giant mess when it releases on PC. But also, Metal Gear Solid 4 is a licensing nightmare. Beyond the fact that Apple has grown as a company, and I'm sure licensing the iPod and the MacBook again may cost Konami more money than they are even willing to shell out, they might even run into a situation where, I guess, getting the models for the
Your skill has increased.
The 5 big boss battles where they use actual models, maybe getting their licensing or their likeness again, maybe again a thing for Konami. I don't know how the legalities really work there. There are a lot of licensed products that Konami needs to get licenses for again, I believe. So I don't know if Konami is willing to do that. Maybe they might
Your
just
skill has
remove all
increased.
the copyrighted materials they don't own. But that kind of removes the charm of the games. I'm not entirely sure. But given the lack of effort they've put into this master collection,
Your skill has
I
increased.
have no faith in them releasing MGS4 for the PC. And honestly, it's not the biggest deal. thank God for emulation, because where this collection fails, our PCS3, Xenia, PCSX2, DuckStation
Your skill has
succeed.
increased.
So, in my opinion, if you want to play these games and you want to put maybe 5 minutes of effort into it, just emulate them. Because this collection, while it's serviceable, is definitely an extreme part of laziness on Konami's end. I'm a bit disappointed, to say the least, but I can't say that I expected anything better. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out. Hi, Venom, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start off by saying that the GTA community is kind of in a rough spot these days, okay? Now, there are a few games that are never going to come out. Half-Life 3, gone, okay? You know, I was actually finding out today that Star Citizen, believe it or not, yes, they actually have their single player announced. Squadron 42 uploaded a video yesterday, or Star Citizen, where they showed their single player 11 years after it was announced that they're feature complete, okay? Now, does that mean the game's coming out anytime soon? Absolutely not. But, you know, I made that video on Star Citizen a couple months ago, so I'm actually kind of glad I'm eating my words. Am I excited for this game? No. I'm waiting until it's on my hard drive and I can actually launch it, okay? Until then, I don't believe anything exists, okay? That's how I go. But Grand Theft Auto as a community, as a group of individuals, as a people that love one of the largest franchises in video games, we've been kind of waiting for GTA 6 for a long time, over a decade at this point. Could you imagine a game franchise where like the next actual like iteration takes over a decade to come out? I can only think of one game franchise, and that's Elder Scrolls, okay? So, at least between then, you actually had Starfield, which was a whole new IP. And to be fair, for Grand Theft Auto fans, you did get Red Dead Redemption 2. But look, GTA 6 is pretty much what everyone wants at this point, okay? And for the last month or two, the GTA community has kind of been on the most insane amounts of copium that I've never seen before, okay? Every goddamn day, I have to wake up to like a few of my friends going, yo, is GTA 6 gonna be announced today? And the answer is always, no! Rockstar ain't gonna announce GTA no matter how the fucking cards align. At this point, asking a tarot card reader or somebody with a crystal ball might be a little bit easier, might actually be more factual than what some of the GTA community is putting out there. So what was the crux of today's video? Well,
Your skill has increased.
Accounts for going breaking unknown private published video by Rockstar Games 30 minutes ago, preparation for the GTA 6 trailer. And of course, at this point, everyone was getting excited. Was Rockstar going to announce GTA 6 today? Well, of course, ladies and gentlemen, the answer for that is no. As you're watching, the trailer has not come out. So, of course, there was more speculation as to exactly how people had come to such a conclusion. Apparently, in the months of October, Rockstar typically does their announcements, and in some cases, they do their releases for a lot of their games, too. But, of course, some of the funniest shit that I've ever seen is the most obviously fake content ever. For instance, this is like what the GTA news channels were putting out there. A Brazilian leaker claims to have the upgraded version of GTA 6. They're writing in the chat right now, :V's, boys. This is the leaked version. You got the Rockstar logo, some loading screen. Confidential. Welcome to the development version of GTA. You can't read it right, but it says VII, which, come on now, let's be honest here. And you're about to see the funniest shit that I've ever seen right here, okay? You gotta prep yourself for this one. Once you get past the confidential screen, right here, just give it a minute. Look at that Unity Unity-ass menu. Story mode, online, settings. One of the best announcements is this cycle. Basically, this is what the community puts themselves through. In the chat right now, :V's, boys. This is the leaked version.
Your skill has
Rockstar
increased.
Logo, some loading screen. Confidential. Welcome to the development version of GTA. You can't read it right, but it says VII, which, come on now.
Your skill
let's
has
be honest
increased.
here. And you're about to see the funniest shit that I've ever seen right here, okay? You gotta prep yourself for this one. Once you get past the confidential screen, right here, just give it a minute. Look at that Unity-ass menu. Story mode, online, settings. One of the best announcements
Your
is
skill
this
has
cycle.
increased.
Basically, this is what the community puts themselves through. Convince yourself there's something coming based on unreliable sources. Absolutely. The only reliable source is Dark Viper, who I believe, according to him, he is a voice actor for GTA.
Your
6.
skill has
Insanity if you
increased.
Think about it. Wild stuff. We're right now at overhyping this incoming false announcement. Nothing is announced. We get angry at Rockstar over something they never said was happening. Talk dies down, GTA 6 stops trending. And then it comes back, not after a couple months, after a couple days, okay? I've been watching this for a minute. Now, yesterday, one of the most top trending searches was Rockstar Games video, which actually, one of the reasons for people believing this was all of a sudden, this would show up on the search results. So you see over here, Rockstar Games videos, 19 minutes ago, there was some crazy update. Clicking on this ended up taking you to rockstargames.com/video, where, yeah, there was actually no update to anything, ladies and gentlemen. Not even a GTA Online update. In fact, the only update Rockstar pushed today, I'm not even joking with you, is Red Dead Online. I thought this game was deader than Elvis, for crying out loud. But yeah, today in Red Dead Online, you too can buy Halloween costumes. Woohoo! And, you know, this didn't stop the community from going, hold on a minute. You see that? You see that behind him? That's like one shred. This is V, and that's I. And if you think I'm joking on the Reddit community, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's been people who have taken that screenshot and pointed it out. Maybe this is Rockstar, like, subliminally telling us that GTA 6 is on its way. If you thought that shit was insane, I've got another Alex Jones trope to show you. So for instance, this is a post that Rockstar made, the Happy Moon Festival. I'm gonna give you guys like 20 seconds to look at this and maybe come up with, whoa, where is GTA 6 in all this? All right, we're gonna go dun, 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 stop. This right over here, VI, oh boy, that's 6, Rockstar subliminally telling us. We have reached the point where we are now conspiracy theorists, I swear to God, like the worst types. You know, just like constantly going through these crazy math equations to justify obscure connections between two completely different things at this point. Yeah, I don't think Rockstar's doing this. I feel like at this moment in time, we're actually unintentionally getting trolled by the company. Because they understand this caters into the social media circus, and everyone is just making their property trend, their brand trend, just because we're sitting here speculating on things that have never actually been announced. Since GTA 6 leaked like a year, 2 years ago, God, time flies. Rockstar has said basically nothing about that ever since their one like actual statement that they got hacked. Because, ladies and gentlemen, during game development, I'm pretty sure shutting the hell up is probably the best course to take. Especially when you're making something that's as hyped as GTA 6. I don't think it's a far cry to say this is more hyped than like, this is about as hyped as Elder Scrolls 6 or Half-Life 3, which at least we know with Half-Life 3, that shit will never come out, okay? All right, I would sooner believe Valve would release sex toys of Gordon Freeman before they officially release a Half-Life 3 game, okay? Let's be honest here. But of course, one of the actual things that I kind of got down to was looking at this one post where, you know, people had actually looked into their announcement for previous titles like, you know, GTA Vice City Stories, San Andreas Vice City. They were released in October. Hell, Red Dead was announced in October, even released then. Hey, GTA 5 was announced October. Maybe, just maybe, tomorrow, we might get our hands on that GTA 6 announcement. Because remember, GTA 5 was announced October 25th. Maybe they might announce 6 for the 10th anniversary. But see, what I'm doing is invoking hopium. To go back to that Rockstar Games like page where people had looked into their videos, that was effectively just Google kind of screwing people over, okay? So what I have to tell you are GraphQL endpoints, and there was somebody that actually looked through Rockstar's newswires through the GraphQL endpoints and found like future posts and whatnot. But this is effectively the raw data, the raw image, the raw data that you can basically modify yourself. What had effectively happened and why Rockstar Games was showing a new video uploaded 30 minutes ago was because they probably changed some minor thing on their website, and that tripped Google into actually recaching, reassessing their page, and basically putting up this placeholder like update. It doesn't actually mean anything's changed, it just means Google's detected maybe even the tiniest change on the video page, and that's why their web crawler acted that way. For those of you who don't know how a web search engine works, it's not magic. It's literally just, you know, spiders. It's literally applications constantly going through links upon links upon links, building the web as we know it, okay? The search bar that we use just helps parse the most relevantly searched information, okay? That's how search engines work. And Google's been doing this since like the early 90s, okay? Since pretty much the internet's beginning. So if anybody's got the like edge, it's them, all right? And maybe now it's probably Microsoft with ChatGPT, because you can just ask a computer to really dig up anything you want, within reason, of course. And this was basically debunked by a member of the community who literally had to come in here and tell you, hey, listen, nerds, Google just crawled the page, detected some random change, could even be the cookies prompt, and updated the last updated date. There's no new videos, no new site module updates, which would have been posted now by more legitimate leakers. To understand, the hype for GTA 6 is so insane that even one of the longest running channels, Cernando, who people wondered, man, where is this guy? Cernando was actually still recently uploading. In fact, even a month ago, he actually uploaded. Cernando has forgotten all about Grand Theft Auto at this point, okay? Save for like, I busted 100 myths. This man is currently involved in buying the most off-brand Amazon controllers and running them on fucking Fortnite. The fact that he can claim this is aimbots on YouTube without ever getting into some spam deceptive guideline strike is just beyond me, okay? But of course, one of my favorite channels ever is Mr. Boss for the Win, who has been called out by even the voice actors for GTA 5 out of his blatant stupidity.
What was this? They said that GTA 6 going to be made in Vice City. How do these people get all this information on what's going to be what? People, do you not understand? Do not believe anything that you see on the internet from, you know, Boss Man, Fuck the World, or whatever his name is, or any of those guys. Don't listen to those guys. They have no inside information. They're just clickbait. And if you hear it from Rockstar, then you know. If you don't hear it from Rockstar, you don't know shit.
Anytime you can sneeze GTA 6, Mr. Boss already has like a 20-minute video ready to go, okay? Well, at least in this case, it's always an 8-minute and above video for that juicy mid-rolls. And of course, in the last 12 days, you would goddamn imagine this person's gone crazy. 12 days ago, GTA 6, this is the day, it didn't happen. GTA 6, the countdown starts. Ooh, didn't happen. GTA 6 official trailer details. What's going on? Man has used like 4 different versions of the GTA 6 logo, just edited in such a deceptive way that little 6-year-olds click on here just to think that they're watching the trailer. GTA 6 early access banned? Is Rockstar prepping the bull? I don't know. Oh, download GTA 5 now. Oh, dude, let's download that. It's on YouTube ads. Surely I can't be getting scammed. Whoa, get the game? Let's go, Chief. No, I want to play the game, silly. Oh, dude, brick together. I'm bricked up right now. Is that Grimace? Let's play the Grimace Shake game, dude. Play now? World of Tanks? No, get out of here. Dude, I swear to God, game's so cool. This site is definitely invoking some malware to children, okay? Or it's just like an advertising funnel. Point is, I think YouTube ads lied to me. I wasn't able to play GTA 5 here. That's just not good. Wait, can I search for GTA 5? Might as well search for GTA 6. Oh, I do not have permission to access the resource. Yikes. Now, to understand, my wife's probably going to laugh at me because I've been saying GTA 6 is going to come out at certain years. She still believes that her kids are going to be going to college before GTA 6 ever drops, so she might even be right, okay? God damn it. But ladies and gentlemen, the GTA 6 community, The GTA community ourselves are basically huffing so much opium at this point that the entire global supply pretty much just gets bought up by us. Now, as I would say the grand minority of the community, I'm totally okay with just waiting forever at this point because honestly, there's way too many games, and if Rockstar really does need like 3 decades to perfect the GTA 6 formula, it honestly makes me wonder how long it'll take to even get to GTA 7. Game development has become incredibly expensive and incredibly time-consuming over the last, I would say, generation. It's kind of like been as the systems have gotten more, engrossing, as game engines have started to allow more detail. I feel like game development has slowed down by a factor of like 2, okay? Like we're talking about like games that would take like 3-4 years to develop are now taking over 10 years. And games like Star Citizen, for instance, even, right? Like that game is in development hell pretty much forever. Games like GTA 6, I don't think are in development hell. If you compare GTA 6 to like GTA 3 Vice City San Andreas, which they were able to pump out so quickly because they were effectively running off of the same renderware engine, and those games were obviously far smaller in their scope, even compared to like games like GTA 4, GTA 5, and GTA 6. GTA 5 still to this day, and I will completely own this, is still one of the best open world games that you can play right now. It still stands up with other open world games released this year. Hell, even GTA 4's rendition of Liberty City is so atmospheric that I put it up there with games even released currently as of now. There's probably only one game that comes up in that open world simulation, and it's only Watch Dogs 2. So if GTA 6 does take, again, another couple years to come out, that's, I guess, totally what is expected. But I think going into GTA 7, unless the gaming industry really consolidates and really, figures itself out and how to, optimize their development time, GTA 7 may take over 15 years to come out. And I'm not even joking when I say that, because Rockstar's idea when it comes to game designing is always bigger and bigger and bigger. GTA 4 was, a good game. GTA 5 evolved its simulations, evolved its world density, and of course the graphics, everything was given an upgrade. Red Dead Redemption 2 did the same thing. It dwarfed GTA 5 in terms of how you interact with the open world and how it simulates the open world. And if GTA 6 doesn't blow us away like GTA 5 did when compared to 4, then that's going to be a big no-no for Rockstar. I think that's pretty much where we're sitting at, and obviously to innovate and basically create these games, it's going to take a fair bit of time. But I think the announcement is coming closer just because I feel like the development towards GTA Online recently has kind of died down a little bit. We're not really getting as many open or expansions, if you will, as we used to do with GTA Online. And I can kind of feel this too because I don't play that game as often. Usually throughout the course of a year, I am consistently playing GTA Online because content does keep getting added in. The fact that it isn't, and it feels like GTA Online's kind of died down a little bit, at least in my experience, kind of gives me credence that maybe sometime next year, probably, is when GTA 6 is going to have an announcement. And once it gets announced, it's probably still going to take a year, and of course, we know Rockstar with their delays, probably a year and a half to maybe 2 years until the game comes out. But I would probably put on my waiting pants and play other video games, because going day in and day out waiting for this game to release is just goddamn unhealthy at this point. This is me, Mutahar, and yeah, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it, I am out.
Your skill has increased. Your skill has increased.
Today's video is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped.com. They decided to let me know that they've engineered a sequel, a successor to the godly Lawnmower 4.0. Yeah, this is the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped. Ladies and gentlemen, what makes this so unique? Well, it's a next generation grooming masterpiece where they've got the next generation dual skin safe blades. Yeah, now they're accompanied by an upgraded trimmer blade and an interchangeable foil blade for enhanced performance. Ladies and gentlemen, these upgraded blades absolutely mean business. You've got a grooming tag team match where the upgraded trimmer blades feature longer, wider, rounded teeth that cut through the hair with ease. And now, of course, it's kind of like getting your hands on 2 trimmers, but only paying for 1. It's almost like a total win, am I right or am I right? But of course, you may be wondering, Muda, I shave in the dark. Well, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, I sometimes do too. And Manscaped's there with the bigger, badder LED light. Ladies and gentlemen, they uphold the same features that they always have: rechargeable Li-ion batteries, RPM technologies for top-notch performance, and a travel lock for seamless portability, USB-C charging, and a 3-level battery life indicator. And let's not forget the best part, it's waterproof, so you can use this in the middle of a shower. Lawnmower 5.0 is not just an achievement, it's a revolution. And if you want to be part of the 9 million men, head on over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra today.
You've been
When you
examined.
use my promo code SOG, you get 20% off and free international shipping at checkout. That said, let's get to the video. Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and hacking a PlayStation 5. Yeah, it's surprisingly possible. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by basically talking about what is one of the coolest things, and one thing that I like to do on my channel is obviously from time to time look at hacked systems, okay? Throughout my history, I've covered hacking a PlayStation 3, hacking a PlayStation 4, hacking an Xbox 360, hacking a PlayStation Vita, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, can I just say, is still God's greatest handheld, all right? I know people have their Nintendo Switches, the Steam Deck, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but I'm still a PS Vita lover, and I
Yeah, the PlayStation Vita was the best console ever, best handheld console ever made, short of the original brick Game Boy. I tend to agree. I think the Vita was the reason I got a PlayStation 4, and I left the 360 entirely until Xbox Game Pass hit on the PC, was that the Vita, the PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation 4, and eventually the PlayStation 5 were a really good series of consoles, because when you bought a game on one, you got it on all of them. If you bought the game on the PSN store, you could play it on all 4 consoles, and you'd be surprised what the Vita can play on the PlayStation 4 library, including stuff like Fortnite really well, and all this shit. I mean, like, yeah, like the Vita was a very, very good console. I've never owned one, but my friends did. And I messed with it a lot. I like the Vita. I messed with the PSP and the Vita quite a bit.
15 Pro Max, but I'm still a PS Vita lover, and I think this is probably one of the best handheld Sony has ever made. The fact that they don't actually, produce more of this is just sad to think about. Now, the PlayStation 5 is one of the hottest gaming consoles ever, okay? And, for me, I enjoy the system.
Your skill has
Where
increased.
I do a lot of my gaming, really. I know that I have a strong PC setup, but honestly, I just kind of, at this point in my life, like to sit down, pop a disc in, wait like 20 minutes for it to install, pick up a gaming controller, and just play a video game.
Your skill has
that
increased.
Being said, the PlayStation 5 is not a perfect system. There is a lot of games on the PlayStation 5 that are locked to 30 frames per second without ever having a good reason to. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite looking games.
Your skill has
and
increased.
I just like to sit back, relax, and play it. I hate playing it on a PC, even with a controller. That's just a game that's made for the couch. Now, there is no way to play that game at 60 frames per second, whether you're on the Xbox or the PlayStation. But thanks to
Your skill has
60 frames per
increased.
second patches, there have been modders who have unlocked the frame rate for Red Dead Redemption 2 and are now able to play the game at 60 frames per second, pretty much
Your
locked
skill has
on a
increased.
PS5, if you can hack it. Now, if you kind of whittle back to my PS4 hacking video, this is something that I showed, but obviously because the PS4 wasn't the most powerful system in the world, it couldn't run Red Dead Redemption 2, let alone any other open world game at a locked 60 frames per second. And that was because the CPU wasn't powerful enough to handle the open world game logic at 60 ticks a second. PS5, very capable of doing so. But you can't expect Rockstar Games to patch it, Sony to force a patch, so in reality, the community has to take matters into their own hands. Now, hacking the PlayStation 5 is actually surprisingly easy. So in this situation, I ended up getting a PlayStation 5, and this one was the Horizon Forbidden West Bundle PlayStation 5, with a manufacturing date of July 2022. Now, I actually ended up picking this up because I did talk to MVG about this, Modern Vintage Gamer, And at the time, this was a PlayStation 5 that I picked up. I basically put it into the closet and forgot that I had it, just so that in the event of something like today, I could actually cover a hack. Unfortunately, in my situation, my PlayStation 5 is a little bit too young to get hacked. So let's actually talk about the process. You start up a brand new PlayStation 5 and you'll be greeted with Astro's Playroom and nothing else. It's a cute game that looks at the functionalities and the upgrades of a PS5, but forget all of that for a second. Click this gear on the top right and start connecting to the internet. Now, this is where you want to be really careful. The moment your PlayStation 5 even pings a server, the first thing it's going to do is start patching every single game on it, which is obviously in this case just Astro's Playworld or Playroom. And what it'll also do is try to download a system software update. Now, you do not want to update your firmware, okay? Because in order to hack a PlayStation 5 today, you need to be between the system firmwares of 3.0 and 4.51. How do you figure out what your firmware is? Well, if you go to the systems and you go to your system settings, your console information, this string of numbers, what's important is what I'm highlighting over here. If this is above 4.51, which in this case, for me, it's 5.10, then you cannot exploit your PlayStation 5 because the system firmware is too high and the patches that we'll be abusing have already been secured by Sony. So if you have an exploitable PlayStation 5, what your next step is to actually go back to the internet settings, you highlight the internet connection you just made, hit the little, I don't know what this 3-line button is. Okay,
Your skill has increased.
Button. Once you click on that, go to advanced settings, go to the DNS settings, and enter the same DNS that I am putting onto the screen right here. What this DNS address will do is it'll actually prevent your PlayStation 5 from communicating with Sony servers. So this serves as a layer of protection because what Sony systems will constantly try to do is update
Your skill has
the latest
increased.
firmware, which is exactly not what we want. You can actually confirm this by going back to the system settings, console information, and verifying that the PlayStation
Your skill
is not
has
telling you
increased.
that there is an update available. Because it has no idea. You literally have stuck knives into the eyeballs of the PlayStation. It doesn't know. It will never know. It can't know. So your next step is to go to the user guide, and once you actually open up the user guide, because of that DNS
Your skill has
that you
increased.
made, it'll actually start loading up this page. Now, ignore the anime girl on the side. What this page is filled with exploits for the PlayStation 4 and the Switch. But we're actually looking for the PS5. So with your controller, tap L2 twice, and you'll open up a URL redirector. In the URL redirector, you want to enter a new exploit site. So I believe in this, I went to es7and1.site, and once I went to this page, at the top row, you'll notice PS5. Clicking on that, one of the top left options, which is kind of escaping my head for a minute, you click on that, and if your PlayStation is exploitable, it'll first warn you that there's not enough memory in the system. Hit OK. It'll reload the page a few times, but eventually it will launch a payload. And once this payload is launched, your PlayStation 5 is actually exploited. Now, this is a tethered jailbreak, which means that the moment your PlayStation 5 turns off and you power it on with a fresh, cold boot, meaning that you're not in rest mode or anything, the PlayStation 5 will lose its hack and you'll have to repeat this entire process over again. Now, there is a channel known as Modern Warfare who produces some of the best hacking console videos that I can tell you. They're always updated, incredibly easy to follow, and if you found anything lacking in this video, that is a channel that I would highly recommend you go to. Now, this moment in time, we're going to turn the attention over to an individual known as Illusion0001. Now, this is a brilliant individual who has created a program, or he created a new repository known as libhijacker. So what libhijacker does, according to their explanation over here, is if you are running the current exploited firmwares like 3.0, 4.51, you can download a later release from their page, a Python script if you will, that if you had the IP address of your PlayStation 5, which if you go to your connection settings, you can verify what your local IP address is. From any computer, you can run their Python script and actually send patches to your PlayStation 5. Meaning that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're playing things like Bloodborne, for instance, you can actually send a 60 frames per second patch that allows you to play one of the best Soulsborne games.
Your skill has
at an
increased.
actual good frame rate. So again, there's multiple patches, such as Arkham Knight, for instance, running at 60 frames on a PlayStation 5, which, if you ask me, one of the best ways to play the game, okay? But Arkham Knight has a really good PC port, and if you got a Steam Deck, you could probably just get 60 frames on that anyways. They've also got 60 frames for Crash Team Racing, Dragon Age Inquisition, Drive Club, which is, to this day, still one of the best looking PlayStation 4 games out there. You've got Gravity Rush 2, which is locked to the system, Order 1886, and of course, Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Remastered, and of course, the Uncharted games. Now, what's also really funny is Silent Hills PT, which is one of the scariest horror games that is still locked to the PlayStation 4, because of this exploit can be installed, from what I understand, onto the PlayStation 5, and you can actually preserve PT and run it at 60 frames a second. Again, how Konami still had let Silent Hills go to shit is saddening, but hey, at least they're working on a remake for 2, so that's better than nothing, I guess. And because the PlayStation 5 supports up to 120 Hz systems displays, you can imagine that some games, if, you know, they're light enough, the PlayStation 5 can actually run 120 frame titles. So Bloodborne, which doesn't reach 120 locked, you can still go beyond. On 60 frames and get an even smoother play. Yeah, there's no PC version of Bloodborne, but I guess it's better than nothing. Hell, even Demon Souls, which is the PS5 system launch title, can go beyond 60 frames even in its 4K mode. Again, what these patches aim to do is turn off some of the limitations that Sony or the developers for these games have imposed to maintain at least some level of stability. So, okay, you might be like, Muda, okay, yeah, I can play some games at better frame rates, but what else can I do? Well, for one, you can actually have a dedicated internet browser on the PlayStation 5 versus trying to jerry-rig any web page into the user guide, which I believe Sony has kind of removed a all-accessible internet browser just because of these exploits that really did take advantage of the PlayStation 4. And you can install, entire FTP applications, and hopefully sometime down the future, you may be able to install even more intense homebrew, so things like emulators.
Your skill has increased.
Now, if you have a PlayStation 5 that's actually beyond that hackable firmware right now that can run all these patches, don't fear, you can do some cool stuff still. If you have a PlayStation 5 that's up to firmware 7.60, which in this
Your
case,
skill has
is version
increased.
5.10, you can actually exploit a bug in certain PS2 remasters on the PlayStation 5. So for anybody that doesn't know, PlayStation 5 games, there are some PlayStation 2 titles that run under an emulator for PS5. And because of how it actually emulates and reads memory, you can copy an exploited save from a hacked PlayStation 4 over to a PS5 by artificially signing it, and you can actually leverage a bug in the emulator where you can load in separate PlayStation 2 ISO files. Now, the compatibility is kind of out there. It's not obviously as perfect as the PS3, PS4, or even a PC, obviously. But if you ever wanted to run custom PlayStation 2 games, well, the PS5, provided you're under version 7.6, you should be able to play custom PlayStation 2 games underneath the system. So that's obviously a little fun bonus that you can have. Now, obviously, the security on a PlayStation 5 kind of mirrors that of a PlayStation 4 in terms of its design too. Obviously, Sony has spent a lot of money beefing up their security. But I don't think we're ever going to reach the
Your
level
skill
of
has
security
increased.
that Sony will have as compared to the Xbox, which leverages a lot of virtualization technology to really sandbox a lot of these potential exploits. That's not something Sony is doing, and I think that's honestly going to be the reason
Your
why
skill
these
has
exploits
increased.
will continue to exist on their systems. Now, that being said, hacking a PlayStation 5 is cool. It's still very much in its infancy. I mean, you're not able to turn this system into a gaming computer like the PS4. If you remember back to the time when we hacked a PS4, I was able to get Master Chief Collection working through Linux under a PlayStation 4. Insanity if you think about it. But of course, I could also run emulators like RetroArch, actual PS2 ISO files on that system, and yeah, but that's not something that I should expect from the PlayStation 5 anytime soon. And before we talk about it, the word piracy, I'm not telling anybody or any of you how to install custom package files in the sense that you can pirate video games. That's not what this channel is about, and that's not what I'm here to teach you. I don't want to actually pressure Sony into like, A, taking legal action against this video or me, and I also don't want Sony to like really go hard on these exploits, which they definitely will, let's be honest here, but I also don't want them to like nip this in the ass and use it as an excuse of piracy. I really do think hacking video game consoles are fun in the sense that you can extend the functionality of these systems even if the game developers, publishers, and the console owners don't want you to. Look, the PlayStation 5 is a great system, like the Xbox when you think about the price you're paying for the power that you're getting. But if you could just have total control over these systems, man, would I think console gaming would be a very, very massive proposition. And if you want to talk about hacking a system, I think what's more fun is buying an Xbox Series X or an S, running developer mode on it by paying like, what, $10, and running whatever emulators you want and any kind of code you want on your system. I think that's a little bit more fun and honestly more reasonable for the average person. A, you don't have to have a system that you can't ever play actual games with, and you have the option of having like an exploitable system. So I guess the real conclusion of this is, yeah, hacking a PS5 is cool and fun, but right now it's a little bit in its infancy, so don't feel like you're missing out on too much. And if you have a system that currently can't be exploited, not the end of the world. Put it in a closet, wait a few more months, maybe a couple years, and eventually you'll be treated with everything fun, and it'll be a rewarding thing for your patience. But I guess at the end of it, what I want to talk about a little bit too is the last good exploitable system. Recently I bought a PlayStation 3, a Checha model, which actually had the PlayStation 2 hardware built in. It was an expensive buy, but it came with a version old enough that I could actually exploit it really easy, and now I have a PlayStation 3 that I recently replaced the hard drive to a full terabyte. It's a hacked PlayStation 3, cleaned it up, and it has become one of my most mainly used consoles for the last couple months at this point. So aside from the Steam Deck, loading up a PlayStation 3 hacked is actually super enjoyable. You get access to a system that can run a bounty of amazing PlayStation 3 titles right off of the hard drive without ever touching that goddamn Blu-ray. You've got an amazing system that can emulate PS1 titles with actual razor-sharp accuracy. You've got RetroArch on the PlayStation 3 that can pretty much emulate any console known to man within reason. And because I bought a fully backwards compatible PS2, I'm not emulating PS2 games. I'm running them as if they actually were run on a PlayStation 2. Except running officially outside of HDMI with the actual PlayStation 3, and honestly, giving me one of the best consoles, one of the best bangs for my buck. It is a system that can run pretty much everything. And that was honestly the last generation where gaming consoles were really fully exploitable. Alongside the PlayStation 3, hacking an Xbox 360 is its own rewarding right too. You get a whole bounty of classic Xbox games to emulate, amazing Xbox 360 titles to patch and mod around with, and of course the system is very capable of emulating almost every system out there. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, hacking a PS5, is it possible? Very much so. Is it exciting that it's happening this relatively early in its lifespan? Yeah, it is. But of course, give it a few more months, give it a few more years, and it shouldn't be a shock that people can do some really crazy shit with a PS5. I think what I'm really excited for is the moment we can run Linux on a PS5 and actually, and I mean actually, run some real PC games on a device like that. That'll be crazy to see. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and yeah, I'm pretty much going to leave it where it's at. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out. Hello, guys and gals, me, Mutahar, and we're going to talk about old Chris Chan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard of this name, you may not have heard of this name. Some of you might be clicking on this channel going, whoa, who are you talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking about Chris Chan, who is one of the most prolific people on the internet, okay? To give you an idea, okay, people like Jesus Christ aren't as well documented as Chris Chan. You know, people like George Washington even aren't as well documented. Hell, I'll use a recent example. XQC, who streams almost every hour of his life to the public, is not as well documented as Chris Chan. This is an individual that has been around on the internet for a long time, and this is probably one of the internet's oldest lolcows. Lolcow, for anybody who doesn't know that definition, is somebody that is basically the target of, I guess you could say, online attention, if you will. People pry into their lives, people look into them. There's a lot of trolling that happens towards them, which, ladies and gentlemen, as you can imagine, anytime you touch these situations, interact with them, that's never okay. Usually these are train wrecks that people look at with morbid curiosity. They are constantly responding to individuals putting out their life and getting involved with internet hijinks. Now, this took a very dark turn years ago when Chris Chan was basically sent to the prison system. The prison system on what charge, you may wonder? The prison system on a charge with incest with own child, okay? So to give you an idea, Chris Chan was accused of having relations with their mom, okay? Now, their mom is Barbara Chandler, who is like 80 to 90 years old, all right? Very, very old individual. Obviously cannot consent. They don't even know what day it is, to be honest with you. Last I heard, talking to my colleague gamer from Mars, Barbara Chandler was allowed to drive on the streets of the United States, which shows you that the DMV is a fucked up organization that really, really needs to see who they're giving licenses out to. Anyways, whittling it on back. Yeah, this was basically outed by a call that leaked onto the internet, okay? What was this call? It was a 21-minute long conversation with an individual, obviously, Chris Chan here on the left, and then you've got Isabella on the right, okay? Isabella is one troll that might be one of the most messed up individuals that we could ever talk about on this channel. This is, from what it is believed, from what people have researched, a truly evil individual, okay? Someone that is not a reliable narrator. In fact, both these people are not reliable narrators. Now, according to Chris Chan's, I guess you could say, admission in this situation at the time, people had believed, oh my god, they were doing their mom. I mean, they were a motherfucker. And ladies and gentlemen, at that moment in time, the internet got involved, cops got involved, Chris Chan was arrested, they were detained, and they were put into the prison system. Now, the reason I'm making this video is obviously on the video I made like a month and a half ago, where I discussed how their charges got dismissed. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we're looking at this again is this person is back to uploading videos on the internet in one of the most surreal, almost dark internet horror situations that I've ever seen, okay? So, one of the catalysts was obviously their Twitter account, where they had come back, and they are Mrs. Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu, the goddess of the nation of Quickville, and the Commodore consoles, and the creator of Sonichu and Rosichu. Who are Sonichu and Rosichu? Imagine if you took Pikachu, and you took Sonic, and you butt-fucked them together, and there comes Sonichu, okay? That's the small gist of it, okay? And Chris Chan is that character's father. There's a whole comic series about it, okay? There's a lot of lore that I'm throwing onto you, because there just is a lot. So anyways, recently they've been posting. The most recent post was shitting on Elon Musk. On an unrelated note, verification process improvement asides, but the price is not needed. Basically, Elon's charging about $1. Elon Musk really has messed Twitter up. Nobody, not even I, will refer to it as X. You messed up, Elon. Even Chris Chan's making sense. Now, it seems as though Chris Chan is back at their home, and while they're back at their home, their vehicle was spotted, and internet, detectives had found out that, yeah, this person's alive and back and out of prison. Now, Chris Chan has been released from the Virginia prison system after about 1 year to 2 years, a little over that, of a stay. They were basically detained, and again, like I said, the state had no idea what to do with this person, okay? So they basically just held them and they had to let him go. Now, while they're active on the social media, I want to look at their charge once again. Chris Chan's charge was 18-2-366, which was being involved by persons forbidden to marry, okay? Incest, effectively. So in this law, it says, A, any person who engages with any person whom they're forbidden by law to marry is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. Any person who engages with their daughter or granddaughter, son or grandson, or father or mother is guilty of a Class 5 felony. However, if a parent or grandparent engages with a child that is at least 13 years but less than 18, that's a Class 3 felony. Now, a Class 5 felony in Virginia, if we look up exactly what's going on, Class 5 felony, Virginia, just to get the facts straight, these are considered wobblers, okay? Crimes that fall include involuntary manslaughter, extortion, battery. They're wobbler crimes that are charged as a felony or misdemeanor. But a felony conviction could result in a prison sentence of up to 1 to 10 years and a fine of $2,500. So things were not looking too good. This is a pretty serious charge. And Chris Chan has had a history of legal issues. So this is where people had assumed that there was actually going to be something that would happen. Didn't seem that way because the case was dismissed. And how do we know the case was dismissed? Because on 8/08/2023, 9 a.m., the review had finally dismissed the case right here. Now, dismissal, according to the legal system, is when you have been charged with a crime, your freedom and livelihood are on the line. This is according to VersusTexas.com. Nothing is better than hearing the words case dismissed, obviously. When a criminal case is dismissed, then it is over with no finding of guilt or conviction. Legal action has been terminated, and the state is not moving forward with the prosecution, at least for now. A case can be dismissed at any time during the process, before trial, during trial, and even after trial if a convicted defendant wins on appeal. Who can dismiss a criminal case? Prosecution attorneys or the judge, okay? So the common reasons for cases being dismissed are the statute of limitations has expired, the defendant's constitutional right to a speedy trial has been violated, prosecutorial misconduct, witnesses are uncooperative, or the victim recants, scientific analysis such as DNA results revealing new information, defendant has agreed to work with the government in exchange for a dismissal, violation of the double jeopardy clause, or again, prosecutorial discretion. If prosecutors dismiss the case without prejudice, they can refile charges at any time before the statute of limitation has expired. Now, I don't know if Chris Chan's case was thrown out with prejudice or without prejudice, it just says dismissed. Now, to understand, this call that had happened 2 years ago was like at sort of the cusp of AI voice generation. Had this call been released today, maybe people would have said this shit is AI and it's made up. There's no way it can be real. So now we want to look at what Chris Chan has said about the situation. Now, they've made 2 videos recently as they've finally come back to the internet. One, Jesus Christ Chan Sonichu, Prime resurrected and returned. The description to this video: glory be to all who are light-powered, good, righteous, and neutral with the ability to do good. There's only good remaining on this earth, in this universe and timeline as we survive, and continued onwards into light-powered glory. The worst of toxic sinners are left behind and gone. Now we redeem the remainder of the minority who remain. All is and shall be good with the ultimate miracle and the dimensional merge's completion. Now you might be like, whoa, schizo thread here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know what the dimensional merge is, easy way to put it is your universe is going to collide with Family Guy's universe and the Futurama universe. universe and the South Park universe and the Kingdom Hearts universe and the Final Fantasy, everything is going to collide. That's the dimensions merging, okay? Feel like a physics professor telling you this shit. But of course, this video wasn't anything too terribly special. It was Chris Chan basically in front of a green screen of Jesus and pals from South Park. And this actually showed that there was some actual divine, I guess you could say, editing, if you will. There was a green screen. There was some effort put into this video. But really, the meat and potatoes of this ended up being the setting the record straight. There was never anything involving me in 2021. So this is the answer that everybody wanted to really hear, which is basically Chris Chan clearing the air and setting the record straight on what happened in mid-2021. Nothing happened between me and Barb in 2021. Barbara, again, being the mother, okay? Proceed to throw up in your mouth if you need to. It's messed up.
Hey everyone, Jesus Christ, the Western Chair, Sanji Prime here.
Yes, Jesus Christ, ladies and gentlemen, for all my Spaniard viewers, I apologize.
And right now I'm gonna set the record straight. So just so y'all know, straightforward and blunt, to the point. The reason I went to jail, the charge I was charged with, I was innocent. There never, ever, 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 ever was any sense between Barbara and I, period.
Now, that is Chris Chan claiming that there was nothing that happened. Everything that was admitted to in 2021 in that call was a lie.
You are the minority. You've written those smut fanfictions. You shipped me with Barbara. You shipped me with that Snorlax.
Chris Chan has referred to Barbara as Snorlax, an actual derogatory term the community uses. Now, I don't remember shipping anybody. I hope none of you all shipped anybody. But yeah, there was no shipping. This was just us, all of us collectively as the internet, reacting to what was an incredibly disgusting call at the time. There's no way YouTube put ads on this. No way YouTube put ads on this, man. Dog, I'm buying a Hershey. And Paramount Plus, there's just nothing, dude. There's nothing. There's no hope.
And that was the attention that Bella had in all her chopped and screwed up recordings, with all the attention and manipulating me into that. But hey, I foreknew she was gonna do that. I tested her. At the time, I treated her like, you know, just as a friend, try to get her to be on the good side. But obviously she failed.
So Chris Chan calls out Bella, the other person in the call, and I guess indirectly says that they knew that she was trolling. Alright, but like, I don't understand how, if you knew somebody was trolling, why even admit to some disgusting things that you know a troll would record? Again, people have questioned Chris Chan's like autism, but if anything, I never questioned that. This person does not make normal, rational choices in life. In fact, if anything, they're always muddled up. But again, that's just because they have autism, a serious social disorder. They don't know, you know, what's socially acceptable or what not. So it kind of makes sense in credence into understanding. They might have known that they were being trolled, but what is normal, a response from us or normal reaction would be cut things off right there. They were, Chris Chan was trying to play like 4D chess or something and immediately got like checkmated before the game even began.
She failed. She didn't do that. I took the initiative in my own hands, so I let divine intervention and timing and everything just let me go to jail, spend my time suffering and spending the time for your sins, you fucking toxic ones.
I almost thought Chris Chan was about to drop a slur there for a minute, so I have to get this